want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Yeah, we ran out of patience. Boil up with the cold hard hatred. I can feel the vibration. Beat in the streets, it's a new sensation. I wanna break faces on the pavement. I wanna make greatness look complacent. Adrenaline awakened, I can taste it. We can make an impact, grab it and take it. Like a disease, bring them to their knees. No take the thing to see. Free, just like the wind.
Ladies and gents, I am the one and only DJ Storms. I would like to welcome each and every single one of you back here to a very special edition Tuesday stream. We are streaming live across 4 different platforms, across 4 different accounts on this very nice and cool Tuesday evening here in New Jersey. Thank Christ it doesn't feel like we're inside a fucking volcano here in northern Jersey. As of course, you already know who I am. I am Mr. Controversy and the operator of the best damn X, formerly known as Twitter handle, known to mankind. And this is the official rewind for NXT BattleGround 2024. Which, of course, streamed live on the Peacock, that is. Get your mind out of the gutter, you fucking savages. Peacock, this past Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time from the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I'll tell you one thing, I really do question why I still cover these NXT premium live events. It seems as though they take 1 step forward, 2 steps back. 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. They can never seem to get on a consistent streak. Just when it feels like they're about to generate some buzz. Just when it feels like they got themselves on a nice little hot streak. Just when it feels like they're about to give us something of substance. NXT, in typical NXT fashion, ever since they got rid of black and gold, NXT, in typical NXT fashion, shits the bed. And that's exactly what happened on Sunday. NXT shit the bed with NXT BattleGround 2024. There were 6 matches on this show, and there were only 2 matches that actually felt like premium live event matches. It's like I was watching NXT from 2022 or 2023, whatever the fuck you want to go back to when it comes to these newly revamped NXT premium live events. NXT BattleGround did not have 1 match that surpassed 15 minutes. I don't know about you guys, but that right there is absolutely fucking pathetic. This is a premium live event, and you don't even have 1 match that goes over 15 minutes? Not 1. Premium live events. I don't give a shit what it is. I don't give a shit which company. I don't give a shit where you are. I don't give a fuck about any of these fucking time constraints. I do not give a fuck. If you have a premium live event or a pay-per-view, these matches on the premium live event or pay-per-view should go no less than 15 minutes. If anything, I would even go so far as to say you could have subtracted 1 match and you could have done 5 20-minute matches. At least then we would have gotten some substance with what you were putting out there. But no, we get NXT BattleGround 2024 and NXT. It's almost as if NXT puts their shows out there and they try and remind us that they are as developmental as you can get. And that is fucking sad when you take a look at the roster that they have and some of the talent that the roster includes, especially on this show. This show from top to bottom, each and every single one of the matches, hell, I'm even going to include the Underground match. These matches genuinely felt like they could have been on Match of the Year lists at the end of the year if they wanted it to be. But no, of course not. This is NXT we're talking about. NXT, they never give the premium live event matches the proper amount of time. Because why would they? There was a lot of wrong with BattleGround on Sunday. There was. And it honestly disappoints me because I know that even though NXT Black and Gold is dead and gone, I know that this version of NXT could still be tolerable. I know that this version of NXT could give us shit with substance. I know that this version of NXT can and should be giving us quality shows on a weekly basis and whenever they put on premium live events, but they're not. Was it a complete bust? No. No, it wasn't a complete bust. We did get some decent material on the show, but half of these matches had the wrong outcome, and 60% of these matches, 70% of these matches didn't even belong on a premium live event. If anything, with how short these matches went, you could have done an NXT special on Tuesday night as a Battleground. You didn't even need NXT Battleground. If anything, you just should have saved your appetite for NXT Heatwave. At least that's going to be in a big arena full of a lot of people. At least that show is going to have some substance to it. But I mean, holy fuck. Holy fuck. I thought that we were going to get ourselves a throwback to the Full Sail University era. I thought we were going to get a throwback to the Full Sail University era where we got a hot crowd packed into a small venue. But oh my God, Las Vegas, quiet as fuck. I'm not sure what happened, but Las Vegas, they were louder for Double or Nothing. And I swear to God, they didn't even sell out Double or Nothing. AEW didn't even sell out Double or Nothing, and they were louder than the people in the UFC Apex. And normally these intimate arenas, right? These intimate settings with less people, normally they actually make for some great atmospheres. This was not one of them. Rather disappointing show. Decent matches here and there, but a lot of these matches had the wrong outcomes. And it honestly showcased that Shawn Michaels and Triple H, they are very desperate for attention on Tuesday nights. They are very desperate for attention on Tuesday nights, and it's clear as day that shit needs to change with NXT. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be changing anytime soon. Before we get into what we're going to get into, people, please make sure that you follow me on social media. Follow me on X and Instagram at HistoryMakerDJS. One more time, that is at HistoryMakerDJS, both on X and Instagram. You can also add me on my personal Facebook for collaborations and business inquiries. Please send me an email. My email is, of course, StormsTakeOver@gmail.com. Please like the official DJ Storms business page, and I may just send you an invite to join the official DJ Storms Posse group on Facebook. That is, all those links are in the description of this very stream, whether you're watching on YouTube or if you're watching on Facebook, and most importantly, if you're watching on Rumble, because we are looking to build a nice solid fan base over on Rumble. Please go and check me out over on Rumble. We're live on the Rumble app right now, and we are gaining a lot of good traction over on Rumble. So please go and check me out there. Be sure to follow me on Rumble, and be sure to share the stream out on all platforms of social media, no matter where you're watching it from. Share it out on all media apps, and tell as many people as you can. Get as many people in here as you possibly can, because everyone needs a dosage of DJ Shizzle Dizzle. It's a known fact that I make people's lives better. I didn't make the rules. Yes, I did. Be sure to hit the like button as well. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and hit that notifications bell with a huge coup de grace, because that way you are going to know whenever I pop up on YouTube. Because whenever I pop up on YouTube, oh, baby, it is the absolute best time to be on YouTube. It's the only time that you won't get to see this glorious sideburn chin strap combination, this beautiful mustache right here. And you best believe when you take that nice big inhale and you go, oh, you know that is the smell of pure motherfucking excellence. Be sure to send in your super chats, send in your super stickers, send in your super thanks, and become a member of the channel to gain access to custom emojis and the first response. Whenever you send out a comment or you send in a super chat, you get the first response. Channel members always get the first response from me, and I'll showcase your comment right here on the live stream. And be sure to pick up your merch, DJ Storm's wristbands, t-shirts, and of course, the greatest fucking piece of merch that you will ever own, the official DJ Storm Switchblade comb. And just like me, you will be good. You will be sizzling, tasty. You will be the most delicious snack in the IWC. And just like everybody wants a piece of the Stormsmeister, everyone is going to want a piece of you. Anyway, enough of the chit-chat, enough of the self-brand promotion and advertisements. Why don't we get straight into the festivities here? NXT BattleGround. It's actually quite funny because last year, I said that NXT BattleGround was probably the best NXT Premium Live Event of the year. NXT BattleGround last year was actually very good. It was. I'm not going to bullshit you. It was actually a very good show. And now, this year, it's like I wish NXT BattleGround didn't even exist. How about that? NXT BattleGround started off with Sol Ruka, Lash Legend, Fallon Henley, Michin, Jada Parker, and Kalani Jordan. This was a ladder match to crown the first ever NXT Women's North American Champion. I was looking forward to this match because it felt like Shawn Michaels was looking to turn the women's division around. I was looking forward to this match because NXT lost a lot of top stars, including their women. They lost Kiana James. They lost Blair Davenport. They lost Lyra Valkyria, and it seems as though they wanted to showcase that they still have a nice solid nucleus of talent in the women's division, and you only give these 6 women 12 minutes. 12 minutes for a ladder match. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when it comes down to it all, if you're going to do a ladder match, you should be giving that ladder match no less than 18, 19, 20 minutes. Matter of fact, if this match was the longest match of the night, I would not have batted an eye whatsoever. And then in addition to that, it's almost as if they rushed through this match. It's almost as if they couldn't wait to get this match over with. Matter of fact, it's almost like they couldn't wait to get this whole show over with. This show, not just this match, this entire show felt as rushed could be. So we get this match, very forgettable match, couple decent spots here and there, very forgettable match. No one was talking about this by the end of the night. Matter of fact, no one was talking about this show, period. No one was talking about this show, period. So we had a ladder bridge set up by the announce table. A ladder bridge was set up by the announce table. Kalani Jordan came in with a missile drop kick. Fallon Henley then had the ladder drop kicked into her. Then we had a nice moonsault by Sol Ruka to the floor on Lash Legend. Kalani then was laid out on the ladder on the middle rope, and Jada Parker with a senton drop. Lash Legend then went for the title. Michin stopped her. We had a sleeper hold by Lash Legend. Fallon Henley then jumped on Lash Legend's back and locked her in a sleeper hold. And then Sol Ruca then jumped on Fallon Henley's back. So Lash Legend, she had two women on her back, and she was trying to climb up the ladder with two women on her back. So that was actually very impressive. That's something that I will give Lash Legend credit for. Lash Legend has significantly improved. So from there, Ruca went up. Lash Legend climbed with Kalani Jordynne and Fallon Henley on her back. Kalani was then stretched out over the ladder, which looked brutal. We then had a facebuster on the ladder by Ruca on Jada Parker. Henley then took out Ruca. Fallon Henley and Jada Parker then went for the championship. Kalani and Ruca joined in. We had a sunset flip by Ruca. Lash tried to hold on, but we had four women military press Lash Legend off of the ladder and pressed her over the top rope onto the ladder bridge in between the ring apron and the announce table, and the ladder did not break. It did not break. Lash Legend went fucking splat, and she bounced off the ladder. And to that, I got to give Lash Legend a lot of fucking props. Out of all the women, she was the one that took that bump, and she took that bump like a champ. Matter of fact, I'm going to throw out something that many of you may not like, but this is the gospel truth, and I don't care what you say. Lash Legend, whether you want to admit it or not, Lash Legend is superior to Jade Cargill. I don't give a fuck what you say. After everything that we've seen from Jade Cargill in WWE and the fact that WWE has done everything to mask her flaws and hide her behind Bianca Belair, meanwhile on NXT, Lash Legend was absolute garbage, but you've actually seen the improvement that she's shown. She's more fluid in the ring. She's more intense in the ring. She knows what she's doing. She hasn't looked out of place in months. And above all else, she knows how to fucking take bumps. You would never see Jade Cargill taking that ladder bump at NXT BattleGround like Lash Legend took that ladder bump. So out of everyone that wants to praise Jade Cargill as the next big thing and WWE Superwomen, Lash Legend is superior to Jade Cargill in every single sense of the word. So after that ladder bump, Lash Legend was never seen again. She was completely fucking out of it. We then had Sol Ruca delivering a soul snatcher on Jada Parker and one on Fallon Henley. We had Ruca and Kalani going up, but they both got knocked off by Michin. Michin then went for the championship, but Kalani Jordynne, she cut her off. Kalani then dropped Michin on the ladder and then delivered a split-legged moonsault on a ladder laid out on the floor, and Kalani Jordynne climbed the ladder and retrieved the championship. Now, the match, completely forgettable. No one is talking about this match. Nobody will. Matter of fact, the fact that this match went so short, it actually took away from the crowning moment of Kalani Jordynne. Now, Kalani Jordynne was not my first choice. I would not have given the championship to Kalani Jordynne. If you're asking me, Sol Ruca was the best possible winner in this match. Not because Kalani's not great, but Sol Ruca had more momentum going into this match. Sol Ruca is the most over individual in this match. She's coming out of a hot feud with Blair Davenport. And after Blair Davenport, she got sent over to Friday Night SmackDown. Sol Ruca's coming out of that feud with momentum. Her winning the championship just seemed like the best possible outcome. But they didn't go with Sol Ruca. They didn't go with their first best option, so they went with their second best option. The only issue with Kalani is she doesn't really have that much momentum behind her. She hasn't really been showcased in the manner that Sol Ruca has been showcased. Sol Ruca has been showcased more prominently on TV than Kalani. I'm not saying Kalani's never going to get to that point, but she's just not at that point right now. However, I'm not going to shit on this. I'm not going to shit on this because this was actually a good move for Kalani. It's a good move for Kalani because Kalani Jordynne, she is just as good of a professional wrestler as Sol Ruca, if not better. Kalani is as fluid as they come. Kalani Jordynne, you could say, is like the female Ricochet. She does a lot of crazy shit. A lot of crazy shit in that ring, and she's very, very likable. And I do believe that this title reign for Kalani Jordynne is going to be a nice way of her building up her momentum and stock. I'm not going to write it off just yet, just because Kalani is great at what she does. She's very good in the ring, and that's what's going to make her title reign enjoyable. So I'm not going to complain overly about this. Sol Ruca would have been my first choice, but Kalani Jordynne is not a bad move whatsoever, because by giving this to Kalani, it showcases how high they are on Kalani, how good she is in the ring. That is what is going to make the championship reign better than it should really be. And by the end of this title reign, Kalani Jordynne, if my calculations are correct, and they give her the proper spotlight and showcase, Kalani is going to come out of this title reign better than she was going into it. From there, we go into the NXT Tag Team Championships. This is Axiom and Nathan Frazer versus Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, the Good Brothers, the OC, former members of the Bullet Club, whatever the fuck you want to call them. Now, I was actually happy when the Good Brothers came to NXT. I actually thought that the Good Brothers going to NXT was a good move for their careers because they really weren't doing jack shit over on SmackDown. They weren't doing anything. They're still not doing anything. Matter of fact, the WWE main roster, even under Triple H still doesn't fucking know how to handle the OC. So I had no problem with them going to NXT. I had zero issue with it because I thought we were going to get a Baron Corbin style resurgence for the Good Brothers in NXT. I thought that this was going to be their crowning achievement, but we didn't get that. We didn't get that. And it actually came off rather disappointing. And in addition to that, this match barely got 11 minutes. This match barely got 11 minutes. I don't know about you, but that is inexcusable. Let's go over this match, and then we will talk about the outcome. So the champions were in control early on. Anderson cut down Axiom, tagged in Luke Gallows, and Axiom was then isolated. We had a tornado DDT by Axiom. Axiom then tagged in Nathan Frazer. Nathan Frazer with a missile dropkick on Carl Anderson. Moonsault into the Eye of the Hurricane. And then a standing shooting star press for a 2 count. Nathan Frazer went for the Phoenix Splash, but he missed. Carl Anderson hit the TKO. Tagged in Gallows. Back suplex neck breaker combo for a 2 count. Gallows with a sit-out powerbomb. Axiom was able to save it. Carl Anderson then took out Axiom. We had an enziguri by Frazer. Tagged to Axiom. Beautiful spinebuster by Anderson. Axiom with a sleeper. Anderson was isolated. Gallows got out of the sleeper. Tagged in Anderson. Rocket kick. Flapjack combination. Frazer saved the match again. Axiom and Frazer then with some dives. We had a chokeslam on the apron by Gallows on Frazer. This is where I thought the Good Brothers were going to win the championships. We had Carl Anderson delivering a gun stun off of the middle rope. Beautifully done. 1, 2, Axiom kicked out. That was a great near fall. Axiom then had Anderson up top. We had a tope suicida on Gallows by Frazer. Axiom with a Spanish fly off of the top. And then we had a Phoenix Splash by Frazer on Carl Anderson. And Nathan Frazer gets the win. 1, 2, 3. The champions retain the titles. The match was fun. However, I'm not going to sit here and say that it was anything worth going back to watch, because if you put this match on NXT TV, this would have came off a lot better. This was not a premium live event match. You can't have a premium live event match if you're only going to give these two teams 11 minutes. There is no reason with these two teams, no reason why we shouldn't have gotten a match that rivaled what FTR and the Blackpool Combat Club did back at Revolution. You guys remember that match wasn't even for a title. Moxley, Claudio, Dax, and Cash absolutely killed it. They had everyone eating out of the palm of their hand, and the match wasn't even for a championship. It had nothing on the line. Absolutely nothing. But yet, that match was in the running for Tag Team Match of the Year, right next to what we got in the main event of Revolution with Darby and Sting versus the Young Bucks. But you take a look at that match. And they found the time for that match. You can't even give the Good Brothers and Axiom and Nathan Frazer 11 minutes. Not even 11 minutes. Yet, you have one team who is legitimately their next top-tier babyface team in Nathan Frazer and Axiom, and then you got one of the most underrated tag teams in the world right now. Some may argue that they're one of the best tag teams in the world right now in Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, and yet they go to NXT and you barely give them enough time for a match to be considered a TV match on a premium live event, and then you have them lose. Listen, I understand that Axiom and Nathan Frazer, I understand that they only held the titles for 2 months. But if you weren't going to put the titles on Gallows and Anderson, then you should not have put them in the match to begin with. I don't give a fuck what you think. I don't give a fuck what kind of excuses you want to pull out of your ass. Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, this should have been their moment. This should have been a victory for Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. Now, could they still give the championship to Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson? Sure they could. But I mean, are they really going to be taken seriously after they just lost to Nathan Frazer and Axiom? They lost clean. There was no bullshit. There was no tomfoolery, nothing that could be considered a means of continuing the feud or continuing the story between the two. Nothing that would give the Good Brothers an alibi for getting another match against the champions. They lost clean. The Good Brothers are better than this shit. Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows are above this shit. And I really do hope that Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, they leave again. I hope that they leave after their contracts are up. I really do hope that they follow in the footsteps of Ricochet. And believe me, we'll talk about Ricochet more on the Savage Storm Wrestling Super Show with myself and Savage this Thursday at 8 p.m. We'll talk about that more. But Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, they are above this shit. And their momentum has now been halted. Their momentum has now been depleted. It's been vaporized into thin air. Whatever the fuck they had going into this match, it's all gone. It's all gone. If you were not going to give the Good Brothers the tag team titles, then they should not have been put in this match. The Good Brothers are better than just being glorified enhancement talents. That was a joke right there. Even in NXT, the Good Brothers can't even catch a break. Shayna Baszler and Lola Vice, NXT Underground match. This shit sucked. This shit was absolute garbage. There was only one good NXT Underground match in the history of NXT Underground, and that was Dijak and Eddie Thorpe. That was the only good NXT Underground match that we've seen. And that's only because of how good they are. Dijak is amazing. Eddie Thorpe, he's very underrated at what he does. Very, very underrated. Outside of that Underground match, every single Underground match has been a complete fucking waste of time. And if anything, just like Gallows and Anderson, this was disrespectful to Shayna Baszler. At this point, Shayna Baszler is never, ever going to receive the proper treatment that she deserves. Shayna Baszler is stuck in a stationary position. Meanwhile, Shayna Baszler should be in the same position that Rhea Ripley was in before she got injured. But she's not. I'm not even going over what happened. All you need to know is that it was as close to a UFC fight as you could get, and UFC fucking blows. UFC is terrible. UFC is perhaps the most boring sport on the planet right now. Every single fight is the same. It's nothing more than punches, kicks, and submission holds. If you want a UFC fight, you could see one for free on the streets of New York City. All you need to do is watch a fucking subway security cam, and you'll see all sorts of UFC fights that you would pay thousands and thousands of dollars to sit in an arena for a UFC event for. All you need to do is go and look at the streets of New York City, and you'll get dozens of UFC fights for free right there. UFC sucks cock. Lola Vice wins. Lola Vice wins with the spinning back fists, and Shayna Baszler looks like a complete fucking buffoon. Shayna Baszler looks like a complete idiot. Shayna Baszler looks like a fucking bum, while Lola Vice dances around, and Lola Vice ends up walking out the winner. Get UFC out of WWE. If you want to do UFC and WWE cross-brand promotions, the only means of doing so, just have them cut some promos on the show. If you want to get UFC on WWE TV, just have them cut a promo from the crowd or whatever. But do not give me a UFC-style match in WWE. UFC sucks. Moving on here. Obafemi, Joe Coffey, and Wesley. It took them an hour and a half. Now we finally get something of substance here. Obafemi, Joe Coffey, and Wesley, NXT North American Championship. Now this is something that I can get behind. This was a great triple threat match. Wish it could have gone on a little bit longer, but it was still a great triple threat match nonetheless. And this was probably one of two matches that I would encourage you to go back and rewatch. And once again, I got to give my props to Obafemi. I did not think at all that Obafemi was going to be as good as he is. Now, he is not by any means Wrestler of the Year. I wouldn't even say that he is on the same level as a Will Ospreay or a Kenny Omega. Hell, I would put Wardlow above Obafemi. Wardlow's a better wrestler than Obafemi. But with what Obafemi did, he took the NXT North American Championship. They gave him, and I'm going to continue to mention this, they gave him the NXT North American Championship when he wasn't ready. Way too green, way too new, way too blah. They just did it for shock value and because they were desperate to get their next big thing on their hand. They were so desperate to get their next big thing on their hand that they gave him the championship. They fast-tracked him to the championship when he wasn't ready. However, with what happened after he won the championship, every single major match, every single big-time match that he fought in, Dragon Lee or Dijak or Josh Briggs or Wesley or Obafemi or Ivar, no matter who they put him in the ring with, Joe Coffey as well, no matter who they put him in the ring with, Obafemi has held his own against all these guys, and he came out looking better than he did going in. Obafemi has improved significantly in such a short amount of time. This NXT North American title reign has motivated Obafemi to get better within the snap of fingers. I don't know what the fuck he did. I don't know what the fuck happened, but he took to this shit so quickly. And it still impresses me to this day. And I do hope that this is exactly what Kalani Jordan is going to do. Now, they need to be careful because they're booking Obafemi so well that he may get to a point where no one beating him is going to be believable. But I'm going to hold out on it. I'm going to hold out on it because what Obafemi's doing right now is great. He actually went from one of the most inconsequential things on NXT to perhaps the best thing on NXT. I fucking kid you not. Obafemi may be the best thing about this version of NXT. The guy is fantastic. Joe Coffey. Joe Coffey's always been great. Wesley, I mean, need I say more? Wesley is one of the best performers in the business right now. This match was awesome. This match was awesome. Wesley, he brought the heat right out of the gate with a spiral tap on Joe Coffey. We then had a double vertical suplex by Obafemi. Oba then beeled Wesley onto Joe Coffey. Oba was then double-teamed by Coffey and Wes. Oba tossed Wesley over the middle rope through the air. I swear to God, it's like Wesley was 15 feet up in the air. Tossed Wesley 15 feet up in the air into a crossbody on Joe Coffey. That looked amazing. We had a slingshot elbow on Obafemi. Coffey then with a tope suicida on Oba. Oba then pop-up powerbomb Joe Coffey on the apron. He then caught Wesley in midair, and he powerbombed him into Joe Coffey. We had a cardiac kick on Obafemi. Coffey then saved it. Oba and Coffey were then sent to the floor before Mark Coffey and Wolfgang, the rest of Gallus, they went after Oba. They took him out. We had a springboard moonsault by Coffey and the Glasgow send-off. Lee kicked out of that. We then had Oba as if he was rising from the fucking dead. Oba rising from the dead. Oba then took out Gallus. Wesley with a Meteora on Joe Coffey and a cardiac kick. But Mark Coffey pulled the referee out of the ring. So Mark Coffey saved the match for his brother Joe Coffey. Then we had Wesley delivering a beautiful tope con hero through the air over the top rope onto the rest of Gallus. And then it seemed as though Wesley was going to win it after that, but Obafemi came in. He did a back suplex into a toss on Joe Coffey, pop-up powerbomb on Joe Coffey, and then a pop-up powerbomb on Wesley. And Obafemi pins Joe Coffey to get the win. 1, 2, 3. Excellent match. Excellent stuff from start to finish. Obafemi, he is one of, if not the best things about NXT right now. And I am very, very impressed with what he's been doing. He's got a very bright future. And this was a great way to keep the program with Wesley going. Joe Coffey's great, but he was merely there to take the pin. Joe Coffey took the pin. Now we go into NXT Heatwave on July 7th. And on July 7th, or is it July 8th? I don't remember. I think it's July 7th. Money in the Bank is July 6th. That's a Saturday. And then July 7th is a Sunday. July 7th is NXT Heatwave. In the Scotiabank Arena in Canada, that's when Wesley is going to get back the North American title. Because if Wesley doesn't do it, I don't know who the fuck they're going to build up. I see Wesley taking that title from Obafemi, finally slaying the beast at NXT Heatwave. NXT Women's Championship match. Roxanne Perez and Jordynne Grace. Jordynne Grace, of course, is the TNA Knockouts champion. And Jordynne Grace coming over from TNA. And she is not signed to a WWE contract. It was a cross-promotional match. They brought in Jordynne Grace, and NXT and TNA, they've got this big-time partnership going on. And we got ourselves a cross-promotional match, which turned out to be great by the end. And it was this match and the triple threat match. These two matches, those two were the matches that I would encourage you to go and watch right now, because you will not be disappointed. So from there, we go into this match. This was the co-main event. Roxanne Perez is great. Jordynne Grace, she's amazing at what she does. Jordynne Grace, she was in control early. Perez then wrenched on the left arm of Jordynne Grace. Jordynne Grace then with a power slam and a slingshot bomb, but she missed. Both women were up top now. Grace, this was great right here. Jordynne Grace with a torture rack bomb off of the middle rope, which looked awesome. Grace then with a back fist and a discus lariat, spine buster for a 2. Perez then with a DDT and a spike Rana, but Jordynne Grace kicked out. Perez then wrenched on the arm. Perez went up top, but Jordynne Grace shut her down, and then Jordynne Grace delivered a muscle buster in tribute to Samoa Joe. From there, Perez kicked out. Perez then with a tornado DDT on the floor. Back in the ring, Roxanne Perez with a double springboard moonsault, but Jordynne Grace kicked out. We then had a back elbow by Grace. Pop Rocks was stopped. Jordynne Grace with a gory bomb. All of a sudden, Tatum Paxley, who is obsessed with gold, she came out and she went after the Knockouts title. She went to run off with it, but she was stopped by Ash by Elegance, a.k.a. the former Dana Brooke. Ash by Elegance came out. Jordynne Grace then came in and knocked out both of them. We had a rolling Death Valley driver by Jordynne Grace. And as she went for the Juggernaut driver, it was reversed into a cutter by Roxanne Perez, which looked very nice. Roxanne Perez then hit Pop Rocks. Roxanne Perez with the 1-2-3. Roxanne Perez retains the NXT Women's Championship in what was a great match. Nothing match of the year worthy, but it was a great match nonetheless. And Roxanne Perez is still champion, as she should be. Roxanne Perez, she's great at what she does, although her as a heel, it really isn't resonating. Her title reign is great because of how good she is in the ring, but in terms of her character work, Roxanne Perez, she just isn't a heel. Roxanne Perez is not a good heel. When I look at Roxanne Perez, I can't take her seriously as a heel because she's fucking adorable. Some people are just not meant to be heels or baby faces, like Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin's never meant to be a baby face. Baron Corbin looks like a dickhead. Roxanne Perez, she looks like the kind of fucking woman you see next door. She's the girl next door that you want to marry. She does not look like a fucking heel. She looks like everyone's fucking dream girl. She looks like someone that you want to go to the fucking movies with. Someone that's going to hide their head in your fucking shoulder because she's scared of the fucking horror movie that you're watching. She's not a heel. That's the only criticism here is the fact that Roxanne Perez, she's not a good heel. And then number 2, Tatum Paxley and Ash by Elegance, that shit completely fucking unnecessary. Tatum Paxley, I don't give a fuck what you want to say. Tatum Paxley, very good wrestler. Very good wrestler. Extremely good wrestler, actually. But in terms of a character perspective, I swear to God, this shit is nothing more than a great value version of Mickie James. And it's honest to God, it's cringeworthy. It's cringeworthy. We didn't need Tatum Paxley and her stupid championship obsession gimmick. We didn't need Ash by Elegance. What we needed was these two women going out there and just having a nice, good, clean wrestling match, and we didn't get that. We didn't get it. Instead, we had two women who shouldn't even be there. They came out. They did their thing. Thankfully, it didn't ruin the match. It didn't ruin the vibe of the match at all. But certain shit like that, it's just unnecessary. WWE and AEW too. WWE, AEW, any wrestling company, these individuals, they need to focus. They need to focus on doing shit, right? They need to focus on doing shit that makes sense and leaving the unnecessary material off to the side. If it's not needed, then you should not do it. I always say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The match didn't need any interference. It didn't. Thankfully, it didn't ruin the vibe of the match. This was still a great match. Roxanne Perez retains, as she should. Main event, Ethan Page and Trick Williams. I was actually looking forward to this. Because I think that Ethan Page, he is fantastic at what he does. Ethan Page, he's been on AEW TV. He's been on Ring of Honor TV. He's very good at what he does. He is. And Ethan Page, if you're asking me, Ethan Page deserves a lot better than what he's been given. Ethan Page deserves a hell of a lot more than what he's been given. Ethan Page is fantastic at what he does. Ethan Page has got a lot of upside to him. And it was actually disappointing to see what went down on Sunday. Because I thought that Ethan Page was going to bring Trick Williams to potentially Trick Williams' best match ever. We didn't get that either. This match barely got 12 minutes. Trick Williams is great at what he does. But Trick Williams really hasn't had that one match that really boosts him up to that next level other than his matches with Ilya Dragunov. And that just goes to show you how good Ilya Dragunov is. I mean, Ilya Dragunov, he could have a 5-star match with a fucking plastic mannequin. He could have a 5-star match with a blow-up doll. You could put a broomstick in there. You could put a fucking wooden chair, a lawn chair, a folding chair, an inflatable chair. You put any inanimate object in there with Ilya Dragunov, and he'll bring it to a 4.5-star match at the very least. But Trick Williams, he hasn't really had many breakout performances. All he is an entrance and a couple of decent moves here and there. But I don't understand where the substance is with Trick Williams. Because at the end of the day, the substance is in between the bells. The substance is bell to bell. The substance is not here. The substance is not character. The substance is not on the mic. The substance isn't the entrance. The substance is what happens in between the ropes. And if you do not measure up to what we need when it comes to in between the ropes, then it's ultimately going to fucking fall flat. It's going to fall flat, not going to come off well. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. This was a decent match. It was not good. It was not great. It was decent. But if I'm going to be quite honest, you could have put this match on NXT TV. And don't even get me started on the outcome. We're going to go over that in just a little bit. Paige came out hot. Paige came out hot out of the gate. Paige with a ground and pound on Trick Williams. Ethan Page then was given a body slam and a neck breaker by Trick Williams. We then had Trick Williams being sent into the steel steps, which knocked them out of place. Page then wore down Williams. Page with the iconoclasm and a power slam for a 2 count. Float over DDT by Trick Williams connects. Williams mounted a comeback. We had a flatliner and a kip up. Page was then sent over the barricade. Trick Williams dove over the barricade onto Ethan Page. We had a tornado kick for a 2 count. Page then with a running knee for a 2 count. Uranagi by Trick Williams for a 2. Crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." The steps were then set up by the announce table, and Page countered Trick Williams with a power slam through the announce table, which looked very nice. Page then with the Ego's Edge, 1-2, Williams kicked out. Williams then out of nowhere with the trick shot knee because Ethan Page was spending too much time arguing with the referee, and Trick Williams gets the win. 1, 2, 3. Trick Williams wins the match, and Trick Williams retains the NXT Championship. The match was fine. Match was decent. Not anything to go back and rewatch. Matter of fact, it was a TV match in the main event slot on the pay-per-view. But you want to know what pissed me off the most? You have Ethan Page, right? You got a guy coming over from AEW and Ring of Honor, and Ethan Page, he's going to NXT, and this is where Ethan Page is going to thrive. He's a big fish in a little pond. Big fish in a little pond. There's really no one on the roster that measures up to Ethan Page, if we're going to be quite honest. Ethan Page, by default, is one of the top 5 guys in NXT based on the name value that he built in AEW and the fact that he's a great fucking wrestler. He's probably the best overall wrestler out of anyone in the men's division. And yet, you put him in there with Trick Williams on his first night, and you have him lose his first match in NXT is a loss. I'm sorry, but how is that good creative writing? How is that good booking? I'm genuinely asking, because here's the thing. If you're a wrestling fan and you do your research, if you're a wrestling fan and you're not a WWE cocksucker, right? If you're a wrestling fan, you know of Ethan Page. You know how good Ethan Page is. You know what he's capable of. But some people, this is their first time getting a look at Ethan Page. How does it look that he lost in his first match? I understand that Trick Williams only held the championship for 2 months, but this is Ethan Page's first match in NXT, a guy coming over from AEW and Ring of Honor, a guy who, if you're a wrestling fan, you know of, and you know how good he is. Some people are getting their first look at Ethan Page in this match with Trick Williams, and their first impression of Ethan Page is a 12-minute match where he loses to Trick Williams out of nowhere. And it wasn't even, again, no tomfoolery, nothing that makes Ethan Page want to go seek revenge on Trick Williams. He lost clean. If Ethan Page was not going to win the NXT championship, he should not have been placed in this spot against Trick Williams, because by making Trick Williams look good, you gave individuals a shit representation of Ethan Page. And that is absolutely inexcusable. I'm sorry. You cannot justify that whatsoever. Ethan Page comes over from AEW and Ring of Honor with a decent amount of name value, with a hunger to achieve more. And this is the best setting for him. Big fish in a little pond. And the first impression of some wrestling fans on Ethan Page, some people who watch NXT, they've never heard of Ethan Page. If you're a wrestling fan, you know of Ethan Page and you know how good he is. But some people have never seen him before. And their first impression is a loss. No tomfoolery, no fucking around, nothing regarding faulty refereeing. It was clean. I'm sorry, but how is that a good representation of Ethan Page? How is that good creative writing to have a guy like Ethan Page lose in his first match? I don't give a fuck if Trick Williams has only held the title for 2 months. If Ethan Page was not going to win the match and win the title, he shouldn't have been put in this match. WWE, I'm telling you, WWE really does not know what the fuck they're doing with NXT. It's almost as if they don't know what they want NXT to be. You bring in Jordynne Grace for the NXT TNA partnership, and then you bring in Ethan Page, right? And how good Ethan Page is, and it's almost looking like they're looking to revamp NXT. It almost looks like they're looking to completely revamp NXT in a new light, and you have Ethan Page lose in 12 minutes. Ethan Page looked like a fucking bum. Could he get the NXT championship down the line? Sure, you could say that. He could probably get the NXT championship down the line. I'm not saying that it's impossible. He could possibly be in a position where he gets the championship down the line. I'm not saying that he's buried, but I mean, holy fuck. You want to talk about a bad first impression? First impressions are everything. If people look at Ethan Page in this match and they see him lose, what do you think they're going to think going forward when they see him? Well, they're going to think, well, this guy, he got his first match against Trick Williams, and he lost in 12 minutes in a completely unmemorable main event. Ethan Page should have never been put in that position. That's all I got. That is all that I got. I greatly appreciate each and every single one of you. You guys, as per usual, are fantastic. And I greatly appreciate everyone who stopped on by, no matter where you're watching from. You guys are awesome. This wraps up the rewind for NXT BattleGround. It was a quick one. Really nothing all too crazy. Because NXT, it's nothing to write home about. It was pretty blah. And again, I am seriously considering stopping these NXT Premium Live event reviews. The only reason why I continue to do them is because of the fact that more reviews means more eyes on my brand, means more potential opportunities for super chats and shit like that. But regardless, greatly appreciate each and every single one of you. Do not forget, like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to check out the highlights from ISPW's Toto a Day Super Show. The highlights from the show last Saturday. It's going up on my channel tomorrow at 7 p.m. And then on Thursday at 8 p.m., it is the Savage Storm Wrestling Super Show with myself and the incomparable Greek Savage, where we got a lot of good shit to talk about. And then we got ourselves Saturday's LFU, the Lightning Flash Update, and it is the third watch-along edition of the Lightning Flash Update that is going to take place. We're going live at 2 p.m. Eastern Time for Clash at the Castle in Scotland. So set your calendars. It's going to be big. And then on Sunday, it is the rewind for Clash at the Castle. So we got ourselves a busy fucking week. June is going to be a big month for the DJ Storms brand. Plenty of good shit coming your way. But until next time, I am the one and only DJ Storms. This has been the rewind. But before we get out of here, you already know what I'm going to ask you as I take a sip of my ice water. People, who runs the IWC? Oh, I will tell you who runs the IWC. Who but DJ motherfucking Storms. And don't you ever forget it.
Retribution! Oh yeah, we want retribution! Oh yeah, we want retribution! Oh yeah, we want retribution! Yeah, we ran out of patience! Boil up with the cold hard hatred! I can feel the